What would be helpful?
Yeah, I was just looking at my notes. So I recently came back um from maternity leave in
Mhm.
January, and it's been a double whammy of coming back from maternity leave and also moving locations.
Oh, wow.
I was in Dallas proper, and now I'm in the suburbs.
Mhm.
So it's been 4 months that I've been back. And things are just a little slower than I would like for them to be. So I would sort of just like to go back to the basics and review the basics
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
of networking. I just finished a networking appointment with someone, and it went really well. And it's someone that I think that I'll continue to connect with. Um, but yeah, I have been feeling a little bit lost in this new space of
Okay.
where do I go? Who do I connect with?
Mhm.
And also I want to talk about SEO a little bit, but I feel like that's maybe secondary. Um,
Let's start with the very first step. Let's start with niche. Where are you at with niche nowadays?
yeah, so my niche is still adults who struggle in relationships.
Mhm.
I am secondarily having this whole new idea of working with pelvic pain clients.
Mm.
And so, but that I'm not quite ready. And that's related to my own experience
Mhm.
and journey. And I'm not quite ready to dive right in and like change my niche. Um, and I do have a good referral source for that population. So I feel like my niche for networking will still be adults who struggle in relationships.
Mhm. Is there a particular struggle you're enjoying most these days?
Partner struggle and family of origin. I would say both of those.
What kind of partner struggle?
Um, yeah, a partner who has narcissistic tendencies.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
And same for family of origin stuff, or?
Yeah, it is
Mhm.
same for family of origin stuff. Narcissism, a narcissistic parent or narcissistic sibling.
Mhm.
I haven't realized that before, that there's a
Yay.
connection. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a really specific struggle that if I were looking for a therapist, if I was in a relationship with a narcissistic partner or I had a narcissistic family member, if I saw that on your website, I'd be like, hot damn, here we go. Like this is my person. Jessica knows what's up. Like
Hmm.
in a way that I work with people who struggle in relationships doesn't nail it quite as hard. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that she may be helpful. Like she seemed like she would probably get it.
Mhm.
But when you name it so specifically,
Mm,
it all of a sudden feels like, oh, you know exactly what you're doing with me then.
sure. Yes. And now I'm thinking to some of the clients that I'm really enjoying.
Mhm.
They are the clients who have narcissistic family members, whereas more of a general family of origin struggle, I'm feeling not as lit up by the work.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
so it's the narcissistic partner. Are you saying like family of origin is more fun to you than narcissistic partner, or are they equal?
I think family of origin is more
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And narcissistic partner it can get really tough, right? Like there's a different level of like, are you helping them leave? Is it abusive in a way that is not safe for them? Like it's a heavier lift in my opinion, in the here and now.
Yes.
Um, so it's so interesting because the person I literally just hung up with, this is her specialty too.
No
So
way.
yeah, and she's so having just talked about this for 30 minutes, I am like all primed and ready to talk about it for 30 minutes more. Okay, so are your clients coming in and saying like, my mom's a narcissist, my sister's a narcissist, or are they like in a defending their family, like, oh, it was okay growing up, like, it wasn't perfect. Where are they in that continuum?
Yeah, they're not naming it as
Okay.
narcissism.
Mhm.
In fact, um, I would say a lot of them still aren't, even after years of therapy. They're still
Mhm.
not naming it, but they know there was something, and they know that there's a struggle in adulthood in
Mhm.
relationships, um, or in relationship with self, or how they show up at work, or even ability to develop a romantic relationship with
Mhm.
someone. And then that stems from the earlier childhood narcissistic parent.
Mhm. Okay. So we can't dive in with the narcissism word, right? Like that's too,
Yeah.
like, it's too hot for them right now. They're not there.
Yeah.
So describing the ways in which they grew up, like their current relationship issues, and then you could say you think it may be related to some of the ways in which you grew up. You may
Mm,
have had a parent who XYZ.
yeah.
Um, you so like kind of describing their lived experience as children,
Mm,
after describing what they're struggling with now. And
yep.
even if they hadn't been like, oh, maybe this is because mom was like that, if you saying you thought it might be, or you've considered that it might be because of plants the seed for them.
Yes.
So they come in kind of just a little bit more ready to consider that than otherwise.
Yes. I love this. Yes. Yeah, because I think the current copy on my website is, talks about how things are currently,
Mm-hmm.
but doesn't connect it to, it may be from this lived experience in childhood. So maybe I could take it a step further and add that in.
Yeah, yeah. And you could say like it may or may not be related
Mhm.
to da 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 da. So
Yeah.
that the people who aren't ready to accept that that's probably where it came from, like, will still connect to that first part of what you said.
Mhm.
And the people who are ready to connect to that are like, yep.
Yes. Okay.
Mhm. And it's those behaviors that you're describing, not the labels for the behaviors.
Yeah. Okay. XYZ behaviors. Yeah.
So we've we've got niche down, it sounds like.
Mhm.
Who to network with. Um, who are your ideal clients calling or seeing or trying to get help from before they call you?
That's a good question. That's harder for me to pinpoint. I don't know who they're trying to get help from. Um, Physical therapists, um, massage therapists.
Mhm. Are they more internalizers or externalizers?
That's a great question too. Internalizers.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they have taken it on that there's something kind of fundamentally wrong with them.
Yes.
Um, which makes sense given how they grew up, right? And the messages they were given.
Mhm.
So we're also looking at like they've internalized that there's something wrong with them, and that can sometimes come out somatically, like with physical therapy. What are they going to physical therapists for? Or I know that you're specializing in some sex pains. Is
Yeah.
it like pelvic floor PTs primarily?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Pelvic floor PT. And so I do have a relationship with a pelvic floor physical therapist in the area, that will be a very good referral source
Mhm.
going forward.
Yeah. And I think about like the strange sentence, but like the wisdom of the vagina, right? Like vaginismus, if you were dating somebody just like your narcissistic father, like
Mhm.
shutting up shop.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So there is like a somatic component for your folks. I wonder if they're also having stomach issues.
Yes.
In which case. like primary care or even gastroenterologists, if you can get in with them.
Yep. What was the first one you said?
Primary care.
Primary care. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like gynecologists as well.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of like medical providers. So it sounds like they might respond quicker, or they're more likely to respond to physical signs that things aren't okay than
Mhm.
emotional signs that things aren't okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is exactly it.
Nailed it.
Like
Uh,
you've said this before.
yeah. So then we've also got, are they going to yoga? Are they trying to like manage their nervous system, which is heightened because of all the anxiety with the relationships and the family of origin? Are they going to yoga? Are they trying meditation? Like, are they being told by their gastroenterologist they need to manage their stress? Are they going to naturopaths or functional medicine docs to solve a gut issue
Mm,
that's probably tied to their nervous system?
mm,
There's lots of good, juicy
yeah.
places that they're going to go depending on your ideal client to like solve a problem.
Mhm.
Because it feels like if they could just handle this, things would be less overwhelming.
Mm, yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
I'm just writing this down.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, this ties in so well with my fledgling interest in pain work,
Mm-hmm.
which is really interesting because before this conversation, I've thought like, oh, these are two really separate things. But um, yeah, they're somatically experiencing
Mm-hmm.
um, the emotional trauma,
Yeah.
and they are trying to calm down their nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. And that's like you could weave that into the website. Like if they're on your website, they've been told enough or they have accepted that therapy would be helpful for them. And again, like solving a problem. Like I think my gut for your ideal client is they want to solve the problems. They want to do it right. They want to like
Mm,
if they could just check it off their list kind of a thing. Um until they get in and they're like, oh, this is bigger than I thought. Um, so you can talk about, like, you could even have a page on your website about, I'm trying to think of what to call it, but essentially about somaticizing.
mm,
Because I think somaticizing is too psychobabble. Um, but find like you could write about the different ways in which your body is signaling to you that things aren't okay and how that's a big part of who you work with are people experiencing stomach issues,
mm.
or GI issues, because it's the whole system. GI issues, autoimmune issues, probably,
Yeah.
um, and just kind of list out and um, sexual pain, list them out, and you can talk about how it's not out of left field. Like this is how your body is meant to function when you're overtaxed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and your goal is to help them get less overwhelmed, less anxious, um, more effective in their communication with partners, better at choosing partners if that's a thing they need to work on, and eventually potentially learn to set boundaries with family.
Mm, okay. I love that. I love it. Okay. This is so helpful in just like putting everything together into
Yeah.
one niche. I love this. So I've primarily been networking or meeting therapists. And so
Hmm.
I think it feels like the safer option.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think this will be really, I mean, I need to be networking with other providers as
Mhm.
well.
And this
Um,
is like, because your niche is something that most therapists would happily absorb into their caseload if they have space. That's why it's probably not yielding as many referrals as like if you were a substance abuse counselor or something. And therapists are like, don't want that, don't know how to do it. Here you go. So that's when networking with other therapists is good for getting your name out there for a number of different things. But if they're not full, they're just going to absorb your clients.
sure. Yeah. Do you think it's worth it? This is sort of more of a networking question. I've started going to this luncheon that's once a month. It's like the local towns executive women like get together, and it's a luncheon. It's a lot of lawyers, a lot of real estate people. It feels networky and
Mhm.
like not in a low key way. It feels like people are trying to like advertise for themselves.
Mhm.
Um, and people there talk a lot about being involved in the Chamber of Commerce. Have you heard? Okay. Yeah.
I think I might have heard one therapist once talk about that being helpful, and they were in a pretty small city.
Yeah.
Um, but otherwise, I think those kind of bigger networking events, if they're not niche based,
Yeah.
tend to just be more of a time suck and an energy suck.
Okay.
Because it's not like the plumbers that go to the Chamber of Commerce are going to be like, oh yeah, let me send you some clients while I'm fixing their toilets, you know. Um, and it may be that like the real estate agents and the lawyers that you are currently meeting in the meeting you're going to would be clients of yours, but like there's this dual relationship that's going to get created if you continue to go. And it's, yeah.
Yeah.
And BNI is another one, like Business Networking International, where you like pay money. It's just like the Chamber of Commerce. People don't, they like are allowed to have one therapist and one plumber and one lawyer. They don't tend to yield much either.
Okay. I just, yeah, I haven't felt great about these luncheons either that I've been going to, but I keep going, and I think it's just a time suck, and I could
Yeah.
be meeting with other people.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I
It could
have,
be a good place to meet friends, maybe if anybody feels like your people, but if nobody feels like your people, then yeah.
yeah, I'll move on. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the time. I have a question about SEO. So I went through the inner circle. I completely forgot after it was over that someone did SEO for my supervision page.
Mhm.
And so in a crazy moment, I went on the Squarespace, back office, whatever, and saw this copy, and I was like, oh my gosh, someone hacked my account, because it was
Oh
just
no.
like oddly written and
Uh,
like not consistent with the rest of my copy. And I deleted it.
oh no.
I know. And so now I haven't been getting very many supervision referrals that I want. So I got a quote from someone that doing SEO for my website would be like several $1,000s. And just with where I'm at in my practice with coming back from maternity leave, and
Mhm.
I'm just not able to afford that right now. So I'm curious if you have tools, tips, suggestions of what
Mhm.
I can do for that.
For that page. Well, one thing you could do, you could reach out to the company that did it. That was um Simplified SEO Consulting.
Okay.
They're the ones that I trust above any other SEO company. I love them.
Mhm.
Reach out to them and say, I accidentally deleted this. Is there any way to recover it? Because they
Okay.
also know how to work websites in a way I have no clue.
Okay.
So like it's on Squarespace. Is there any way to recover it?
Mhm.
Or not I accidentally, but like I got confused and deleted it. And see what they have to say. And it may be that they'll do that one page for you again for much cheaper than what you've been quoted by other people.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So that's what I would suggest. Just get in touch with them.
Okay. Great. Um, I will do that, and hopefully they'll be able to help me. Um, because yeah, the supervision part of my practice is something that I really, really enjoy, but I haven't been getting the referrals that I want.
Mhm.
Um, and my group has dwindled down to a group of one,
Mm,
and she's about to graduate.
got it.
And so,
Yeah. Yeah. So rebuilding it sounds good.
yeah.
And I would also reach out to everybody you've ever done supervision with and say, um, I've got, and I don't know if you enjoy consultation as well. Like you could do a paid group consultation.
Mhm.
So you could offer that. You could also say, like, if you know anybody who is looking for supervision, it's a part of my practice I really want to nurture because I love it.
Mhm.
So don't be afraid to reach out to the people who've trusted you before because they have good feelings about working with you, right? It hasn't occurred to them that they could spread the word.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Okay. I can do that. Um, I'm trying to think of other, I think some of the people that I've been meeting in this area either have very low fees or accept insurance or think charging a higher fee is ludicrous.
yeah.
And so should I just not stay connected with it? Like, what are your thoughts about that? Like, are they just not my people?
Yeah, I think that if it was uncomfortable meeting with them and there was like some perception of judgment, they're probably not going to refer to you. So let's not waste time and energy trying to maintain a relationship that doesn't feel good to either of you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Find the people it's easy with. And what part you're outside of Dallas where?
It's called South Lake. Uh,
Okay.
so it's an interesting area because it's incredibly affluent in South Lake. And yet it's also not in yet. And it's very conservative
Mhm.
and
Oh my gosh, it is very affluent. I just Googled. This is
very,
actually the highest I've ever seen.
no
Uh,
way.
yeah, the average household income in South Lake, Texas in 2024 is $360,000 per year. Where I am in charge 225 with absolutely no problem. Could go up. It's just not my priority right now. We make like the average household income here is 64,000.
Wow.
So you are $300,000 more than that.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it's an extremely wealthy
Yeah.
community, but with that being in Texas and the conservative perspective, there's not as much of a value on therapy.
Mhm.
And so I'm feeling this tension of, I mean, right now I have most of my practice are clients from Dallas that have followed me, but they won't come in person. They're only seeing me virtual, which is great because it's sustaining my practice right now.
Mhm.
But I'm tired from seeing so many clients virtually, and I would really like more in person. And so I'd really like South Lake clients, but it's just been tricky and odd to navigate
Mhm.
because there's not as much openness to spending money for high quality therapy.
Mhm.
This is my bias from just like dipping my toe into the
Yeah.
community.
So I've worked with a lot of people in and outside the DFW area.
Mhm.
And one thing that I have seen is that mid prices from these richer folks, they don't take you seriously. But if you
Mhm.
charge an extreme premium rate, they're more likely to trust you.
Hmm.
So I don't know, what are you charging right now?
Huge 25.
Okay. So I I think there are plenty of people who want and need therapy, period, where you are, who are like willing to do it. It's just about them finding you. And I think it's about them taking you very seriously. And that might mean increasing your rate with given how expensive or how affluent the area is.
Mm. Increasing my rate more than it
Mhm.
is right now.
Mhm.
Because 225 is already like in this community, there's not that many that are charging 225.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I'm not, it's a suggestion. You don't have to take it. I don't want to freak you out. What I would like you to consider is 300. Mhm. Just sit with it. You don't have to change anything right now, but just sit with 300. That's like, people are paying 3 times that for a wallet where you are. Maybe more. I don't really mess with all that. But yeah,
300.
yeah. I have a friend here in Asheville who also is licensed in New York, and she said her New York City prices here in Asheville go over really well with the extremely affluent. Like she had somebody tell her like, yeah, I can take you seriously because you're actually charging me real money.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, what amazing feedback. God,
That
that's
is
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you're in, I mean, you're in a community where people are probably driving luxury cars, they have huge
Yeah.
houses, their, bag costs thousands of dollars. If you're charging 225 and that's what they spent on like dinner last night, it might not be seen as highly valuable.
Mm. Allison, the last time I talked to you, you gave me the little boost to go from 180 to 225, and that felt terrifying.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a friend in New York who's charging 300, and I was like, holy shit. But
Yeah.
I mean, that would be amazing.
And let me look, like, what is the annual or median household income in Manhattan? That might be the highest. I don't know. No, it's way less. You were like in the richest place I've ever done this Google search on. So
Hard for me to take in.
yeah,
Seriously? And you've done this a lot.
I do this multiple times a day. That's why my reaction was so intense where I was like, what? Because I don't think I've seen anything over 200 and yours is 360.
Okay. Okay, maybe I'll just increase my fee to 300, which just sounds ridiculous.
I know. I know. And then you don't need to see as many people. And you might have more people interested because I mean, it's like if somebody's looking at a Prada purse and it's on sale for $500 instead of $8,000, your ideal client is not going to get it.
Yeah.
My ideal client is snatching that right up. So it's about like who's your population. And right now you're surrounded by the people who are like, what's wrong with it? I would never pay that. Something must
Mm,
be really wrong.
mm. Okay.
Yeah.
I just need to find their providers.
Hmm.
Because again, the therapists that I'm finding are like charging not that much.
Hmm.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
And maybe
exciting.
attorneys also would
Hmm.
be okay. I will let you know if I do it.
Yeah, do please let me know. And no pressure. It's a
Yeah.
suggestion, but it's definitely an area that can handle that.
Yeah.
Um, is there tech there? Like what? Why is it so affluent? Oil money?
No, not so. I mean, kind of, but there's just a lot of executives from businesses like, we'll settle in South Lake, and athletes.
Hmm. Got it.
I mean, it
Awesome.
is like, yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Well, thank you so much. This is very helpful.
Absolutely.
Really
Absolutely.
appreciate your time and that you still offer this to
Yeah,
people.
I love doing it, so I'm happy to.
Too.
Cool. I'll see you later.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Mhm. Bye.